Tēnā koutou katoa, good afternoon. We've got I think it's called the graveyard shift, isn't it, when you're the last session. So I'm sure Susan and I will try to keep you entertained as well as informed. So I just want to start with a little bit of background. A lot has happened since the last time I had the opportunity to come and share with you last year about Corrections Embedded Literacy and Numeracy program. There's been a lot of changes in corrections in terms of our increased focus around rehabilitation and shift towards offender or prisoner-centric interventions and looking at the interventions that are proven to make a difference in reducing reoffending. And research in late 2011, which was very exciting to see, demonstrated that our employment, training and our release to work program showed a statistically significant positive impact on reducing reoffending. So the employment training and employment activity was 8.2% and the release to work program showed a 16.7 percentage point reduction in reoffending. So we've kind of known that for a long time, that it was working, but it's great to have research back that up because people always want to have the answer to prove it to me. So that was really great. And then many of you may be aware that our Minister announced just last month an ambitious target of reducing reoffending by 25% by the year 2017. And that has seen us reprioritise our focus around reducing reoffending, the activities that contribute to that. And so there's been more emphasis put on drug and alcohol rehab programs, increased literacy and numeracy and general education, and of course preparing and supporting prisoners towards having a job on release, because that's been demonstrated to make a significant difference in reducing their chances of coming back to prison. And also our own vocational programs have increasingly focused on ensuring that prisoners achieve nationally recognised qualifications. And those are broad. We have national certificates, modularised training programs, limited credit programs, and also what we call trade certificates, such as welding tickets and commercial driving tickets and so forth. So in terms of the results that we've been producing, you can see that there's an upward trend. When we started working on focusing on national certificates, we eked out 275, and last year it was 745. And as of last month, we're at 901, and we expect that to continue upwards for the last month of the financial year. I think a lot of programs sort of come to fruition in the next 3 weeks. So we're pretty excited about the fact that by focusing on delivering complete qualifications or modules that contribute towards that, we are lifting the overall achievement amongst prisoners. The other thing that's been quite exciting, and it was a bit of an accidental discovery, is that there's a correlation between achieving NZQA national certificates and completing your NCEA certificates if you bother to look. And we did look, and we found there were 3,000 NCEA certificates sitting there for prisoners that had never been registered or claimed. And we were able to connect those certificates with about 1,000 learners. So that was very exciting, and it's now got us thinking about how can we deliver both qualifications simultaneously or in the one hit, because there's a lot of particularly young or youth prisoners who are struggling to complete their NCEA. If we connect it to a vocational context, they seem to be more motivated, more engaged, and see a greater point in completing that qualification. So that's an area that we're exploring. So in terms of, I just want to give you a little bit of background, and then I want to go into some more case studies about our instructors who are delivering the embedded literacy and numeracy. So this is the graph. We have maintained our number of prisoners participating in vocational training on previous years. So it's sitting at about over 2,900, an average of over 2,900 prisoners, which equates to over 7,800 individual prisoners last financial year. Now, the other thing that's of interest is that we've also been really focusing on the qualifications, and as you can see, there's a considerable jump in the number of credits delivered. But what I think is particularly interesting is that the quality of those credits is improving because the number of credits per unit standard is going up. So as we increase our focus on level 2 and above national certificates, overall our quality of the credits is improving. So a lot of people say to me, well, why are you bothering delivering literacy and numeracy to prisoners? And why would you do it in an embedded fashion? And prisoners' poor literacy and numeracy skills are a significant barrier to further education, further vocational training, and importantly, achieving this, employment on release. And as we know, employment makes a big difference to them staying out of prison. So it's really quite critical that we address the fundamental skills that they need to then keep progressing through training and on to work. The other thing is that embedded literacy and numeracy, and this won't be news to most people in the room, but for prisoners it's particularly non-confronting, or it's considered low risk, a bit like what Charles did before. And I have to thank Charles. Charles created more context in 5 minutes than I could in half an hour. It was brilliant. But it's non-threatening to be in a vocational course and you're getting your literacy and numeracy by stealth. Whereas if you're being sent down the hall to go to a reading program, in prison that just doesn't go down particularly well. And it's a challenge, I think, for our intensive literacy program to find a way to make it more appealing and attractive for learners, because there's a great need for intensive literacy in prison. However, there's not always the enthusiasm for it amongst prisoners because of that whole concern for not looking silly or vulnerable, or all of those concerns that go with our environment. What is gratifying to see is the results that we've heard about in research for years, that embedded makes a difference, to actually see those results starting to show up in our classes. And last year I talked about the phenomenon of the lights going on amongst prisoners as we started to teach them the necessary literacy and numeracy for their vocational subject. Just suddenly people's eyes would light up and they'd kind of get the point. Now we're seeing the improvements actually in their literacy and numeracy skills, and obviously in their capacity to successfully complete qualifications. But we're also seeing really good retention rates as well. So I've got an example a bit later I'll talk about, but there's more, I guess with more engagement, you get more retention, and you obviously get more success with qualifications.